Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to answer a very common question I get. Somebody specifically asked, is an FRM worth anything? So FRM is the Financial Risk Management Designation. They continue on with a little more detail here. Like if you received an applicant with one, would that matter a lot? So do I consider the FRM in hiring? I think it's important to step back. I'm going to talk a little bit about the FRM here. So I've had the FRM since let's look at these books, since 2015. So yes, I read all of these books. This is part one. These are the FRM official books from 2015. There are 4 books for the exam one. And then a little bit thicker and more specific to types of risk, there are another 4 books from 2014, and I read most of these. Not all of them, but I read most of them. And I passed the exam, the first exam and the second exam, both on my first attempts here. So what is the FRM? I think this is the question everyone's wanting to know. Is it a quantitative risk management, quantitative finance exam designation? No, it is not. There is really no such thing. You could argue the CQF, the Certification of Quantitative Finance, is a designation for quantitative finance. It's more like a degree. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the CQF either because people want to talk about that. That's a whole other thing. But the FRM, the PRM, which I believe is another designation for risk management, they are not quantitative finance designations. I'm sorry, guys. There's not heavy amounts of math. They're not going to make you do programming. They're not going to make you do anything that you would do as an actual quant. Even on the sell side, the banking side where I work, and the risk management departments where we call them risk management, this is not what the FRM is for. The FRM is really to get a very, very high level view, more or less to understand the different sides of risk. So if you are a quant, I think it is good from the sense that you start to see all the different aspects and pieces of this. So if you work in the sell side, so in the banking side here, even in investing, for example, you're going to work in one pigeonholed area. So if you're in the investing side, you are only working typically in market risk. Especially if you're on the equity side. If you're working in fixed income products, maybe a little bit more on the credit side, maybe at a hedge fund buying these sort of securitized products, you're going to work more on the credit side of it, but you're going to have one pocket. Now, there's operational, market, credit, and regulatory risks are kind of the 4 big categories I call them. Now, if you look at the exam 2 here, so I'm going to grab these books real quick. The one book is going to be operational and integrated risk management, operations risk. Market risk measures and management. It's like investments. It's the market risk side. Then there's risk management and investment management here. So this is going to be a little bit more towards like the regulatory risk, setting frameworks, setting designs, again, structuring your risk management departments. So it's good for that. And then of course, the final one is credit risk measures and management. So if you're a quant, it's great because you can start to see and understand risk from an entire firm-wide perspective here. It's not going to be like how to build a model to do something specific here. It's going to be very general and broad. So if you are on the management side and you have a degree in something such as finance, accounting, an MBA, something like that, the FRM is going to be good because it's going to give you a little sneak peek into risk management from a business perspective, which is good, but it's going to give you that sneak peek into what are kind of models and how are they kind of used by quants, but it's very hand wavy. There's like the GARP model. There's no understanding of the assumptions behind the model. There's no sort of discussion on validity of data structures. There's no discussion around probability spaces and number spaces and, validation teams and how they're failing models and digging into those nitty little details here that I actually look at in failed models when I was in model validation, which helps protect the firm from model risk. So that's what we call model risk management. It's not going to talk about any great depths of model development and how you really get into that and the things you're going to be doing to develop a good, solid model. It is really just designed for a very, very high level perspective of risk management, including the models, the theory, the structure, the pieces, and the design here. So I think it's great if you're wanting to learn more from a management perspective here. Now, if I was hiring someone to do model risk management or risk management from a senior level, the FRM I think would be a good designation to have. I would like to see that. It's not required. I don't think it adds significant value, especially when you're applying for those roles. I would expect you have been a quant, you have been a manager of employees for at least probably about a decade here. If you don't have the experience of being a quant and working in those nitty-gritty details, I wouldn't hire you to be a manager to start with. So being a quant is a minimum requirement in almost all quant firms to be a quant manager. You can't just go, oh, I've got an MBA and I took the FRM, so I'm going to be qualified for this. No, you're going to be underqualified and have no idea what people are actually doing underneath of you. So that's a requirement. So has the FRM helped me since 2015? No, not really. I took the exams, I paid the fees, I think for a few years afterwards. They provide you continued educational learning. I'm going to put here in air quotes. It's access to just generic papers and documents. Like I even published a paper with them. I got no boost from it, right? They didn't really push my paper, which was on ARIMA modeling within CCAR, so risk management framework here. No, I didn't get anything from publishing it. Didn't really get any boost, benefits, support, anything like that. I didn't get any sort of interesting like the papers are just papers. You can find them online. There's tons of stuff to read online. It doesn't really add any value in that sense, in my opinion. They had chapters. They had a Dallas chapter, which I presented at right before they closed it. It's just, I feel like poorly ran, poorly structured, poorly organized. Part of it too is like, even if you have an FRM meetup group, like what are they going to talk about? Like, I just don't know. You're not going to bring quants in because they're not really going to be interested in regulatory requirements. You could bring a bunch of managers in maybe and have them chat about risk and new policies and things. But there are already roundtable groups that are very private, like 5-10 banks will get together. They'll talk about, I don't know, new struggles with Basel or CECL implementation and how they're doing it and all that. Then you're competing with the ABA, the American Bankers Association as well. So ABA has conferences from time to time. I've spoken at one of them. Oddly enough, I have not ever been back or been invited because now I'm in fintech, kind of a weird kind of disconnect between us. But the FRM, I have a hard time seeing a lot of value in it. Like when I'm hiring for students, it's nice that you know a little bit more about that. Maybe it'll help you with the interviews. But I'm not going to like sort and weed candidates and go, ooh, the FRM, that adds significant value here. So I'm not a huge fan of designations, FRM, PRM, like slap up any CFA, all those, add those all into the sky. It's just, you took a little bit of extra learning. Not great. Maybe for a manager position, it gives you a little bit of an edge. Anyone that's going to be a quant, though, I want to see a very solid, rigorous master's or PhD on your resume, and I want to ask you detailed technical questions and talk to you about nuanced details of some project you did. I'm not going to look at it and go, oh, you don't know the risk appetite, and the requirements behind this. And we cover a lot on this channel as well. So anyways, FRM, not a big fan of it. Yes, I have it. I'm officially an FRM member. I don't think it'll add a lot of value as a student or even an industry practitioner, maybe on the management side, but that's really about it. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And as always, until next time.